to the YouTube channel later on. So, folks that couldn't join us at this time, they can come back and watch it. If you are uncomfortable with having your face on video, I would highly encourage you to turn off the video if you don't want to be seen. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and get started. I am here in the World Kite Museum in Long Beach, Washington, and they've got quite a few beautiful kites here. Let me pin myself to the main screen for now. There we go. So you can see some of them behind me. There's kind of a mix of newer kites, and then way in the back, you've got some older kites. You got some traditional Japanese and Chinese kites that are kind of on that wall back there. You've got some other traditional made kites between Japan, China, India, and Bali, I believe, are on this side. Miniature kites from Charlie Sodich collection are right here behind me. And then over here, where we're going to go in just a second, is what's called the War Room. And so it has some of the older kites that are in the collection here at the World Kite Museum. So while I get my camera set up so that I can walk in to the War Room with a separate camera, I'm going to play a little video. Chances are you might have seen it, but it's a short video from the Draken Foundation, and it's about the world's oldest kite. We talked about it a little bit yesterday in one of the sessions and wondering where this kite is right now, and I believe it is with Scott Skinner in his private collection. So it is still safe, it's still preserved, it hasn't gone anywhere, but let's see. We're going to present, Chrome tab, world's oldest kite. This will take a second, and I'm going to turn off my camera. There we go. All right.
This is the story of a kite who was born in 1773 and buried for hundreds of years in the attic floor of an old Dutch house. In 1985, carpenters in the Netherlands found a kite in a house they were tearing down. The pear-shaped kite looked very old. So they gave the old kite to the owner of the biggest kite store in the Netherlands, and he displayed it proudly, but before he could discover its importance, he died. And when his business was sold, the oldest kite in the world was sold with it, no one knowing how rare and precious it was. Years later, when the kite was sold again, it was discovered by noted kite inventor Peter Lynn, who moved it to Seattle's Draken Foundation for safekeeping. This is where New York coroner Thomas Schinken joins our story. With great knowledge of kites and history, he heard that the oldest kite in the world was in Seattle, and he had to see it for himself. So it was that Thomas Schinken arrived at the Draken Foundation in 2008. Here, Tom spent 3 days with the world's oldest kite. Using forensic tools, Tom investigated how old the kite really was. Tom examined the number 1773 written on the kite's front in pencil, the font of the handwriting done in a popular 18th century style, the microscopic pattern of the paper weave to determine how it was manufactured, rips, tears, and patches that show it was a kite for flying and not decoration, the type of pigments used for gluing, the fauna of the materials, the printed paper of the tail, and many, many other things. Based on his investigation, Tom confirmed that the kite was in fact built in 1773, making it the only 18th century kite in existence and the oldest known kite in the world. The Draken Foundation's board president, Scott Skinner, sums up.
Every now and then, we in the kite world get lucky. Something survives against long odds. It's an object for us and for other kite flyers and the public to enjoy and learn from. With this old Dutch kite, we're just incredibly lucky.
Wow.
All right. So let me get the last of the folks that are joining in signed in. And then I am going to pin the screen of the camera that is in the war room. But taking any comments, questions, if you guys want to talk about that kite for a second while I get this all set up.
Nick, I have to know, what's the app you're using for for your comments to be printed directly?
For this video or for?
Yeah.
This is Google Meet.
So this is involved within the meet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm amazed. how accurate it is.
Oh, thank you. I'm guessing you clicked on the. No, it's okay. I'm guessing you clicked on the captions button.
Yeah.
And so you're seeing captions down at the bottom, which is a feature that if anyone's having difficulty hearing or understanding what's being said, if you click on the captions, you will have text displayed at the bottom. It's instant and yeah.
It's phenomenal. Yeah.
The downside is it picks up all the ums and ahs.
Yeah. Very good.
All right. All right. So let me switch over to this other camera. This will take just a second because I have to walk in there. There we go. So now hopefully that's showing up and you can see. There is a lot of echo in here, so I apologize if I sound kind of tinny. They've blocked off all the windows for light, and they've really kind of enclosed this space to protect the kites. But just in case no one's had a chance to actually come to the Kite Museum, you can see a lot of the kites that kind of make up our collective history from a science and military perspective. And to me, I love that. One of the things that I really love that's down in the archives that I'm working with the Kite Museum is to kind of round out the picture, because they have some of the original photos. And like I found a purchase order for, it was the original, the very first purchase order for the target kites, which I'm gonna walk around to, and handwritten on the side it says, I think this will go down in history as the biggest kite order both in tonnage and price.
Wow.
So I thought that was kind of nerdy and special, but a lot of that is actually here at the museum. And so walk folks around. We got a Garber Arctic male kite. Let's see if I can. Most of these have not been retouched or fixed unless they're really bad. So there is staining on some of the cloth kites. There's unfortunately a good example of staining on. This is a reproduction Cody. From my understanding, Checkley, who donated most of the collection at the World Kite Museum, started from Mr. Checkley. I believe he has an original Cody that is part of the collection downstairs. I couldn't find it in the short amount of time I had down there, but I'm really hoping to, and I hope to kind of show it a little bit later, maybe in the coming year. So admittedly, most of you guys probably know what this kite is. It's the Gibson Girl Kite.
Yeah.
This has always been one of the most fascinating and favorite kites of mine, just because of what it's used for. And yeah, I don't know how to explain it. I'm a huge Art Deco and Art Nouveau fan, and kind of the whole artistry that it was around that time, and that these are named after, you know, the actual drawings of the Gibson girls, and like, yeah, I kind of geek out over it. But I believe they have 10 Gibson girls here. These are the finest examples they have out. Let's see here with the, I don't know if anyone has had a chance to see the actual radio equipment. Here is the pack it came in. Let's see if I can step around to show Gibson Girl a little bit better. Just a standard box kite. And I saw Paul Chapman's online, so of course we're going to be asking him all sorts of historical questions. This one never flew. This is straight out of the supply closet for the military. They just had some leftovers. Actually, I have to take the camera back off. So we have a fully intact target kite. So this one was never actually shot at. It is fully intact with some minor damage just because it's an older kite. But included with this one is actually the steering system. So I'm sure I'm going to have a handful of folks chime in just a second that gives a little bit more information on this. But ideally, what you did is you steered the kite off the back of the ship. And let's see, I have a nice little photo right here. There we go. And it provided a target for the gunners on ships to shoot down airplanes. So it was a practice. All right. So one of the last kites I'll show is one of the barrage kites. I believe this one never flew according to the paperwork that I saw on it, but this one was designed to lift 2,000 feet of piano wire up into the sky and chop the wings off of planes. So it's fairly heavy. This is all metal framework, and it's also fairly heavy duty. Word has it that some of these were also designed to drop, I don't know if they're called payloads or bombs, but yeah. So let me switch off this camera and get back to the other. And I just okay, now I'm back at my computer. So, I'm going to kind of open up the floor if anyone has questions, if there's any comments or stories or what have you. Just remember your mics are muted, so you're going to have to unmute in order to speak.
Go on,
Jim, I
Nick.
think you have to unmute yourself and then speak.
Hey, Paul.
Hi there.
Hi, can I think or is there someone in line? I can't see everybody yet.
There we go. I'm gonna pin Paul to the main page so we can see what he's doing.
Yeah, I saw you playing with the Garber kites, and
Yes.
it made me nip next door, because if you have a copy of the kite manual, I don't know if you can see that. There we are.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah, which is it is actually quite rare, but I think it's been copied by several people. But it includes, at the back of the manual, it includes all the drawings for making a replica. As you can see.
Oh, wow.
Because I can't see my stuff. So if you're interested in doing it, I'm sure somewhere on the web there's copies of it. I think I might have put some up on Kite History, the Facebook page. Anyway, so that's just a bit of additional stuff to go with the Garber kite stuff.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. Thank you.
Anyway, okay, anybody else?
Hey, I've got the manual too, as well as a Garber kite. They're a lot of fun. There's actually a great Navy training video that's available online as well, so you can see one in operation with instructions on how to fly.
That's awesome. Thank you, Peter.
Yeah.
Oops, he accidentally left the meeting. I think that was a mistake. He'll probably jump back in a second.
Perhaps I'll come back on that.
Yeah. Hi, Peter. Welcome back. You're muted, so.
There
we go.
Myself and hung up by accident. Sorry.
I was just going to say, just recently I managed to get hold of a Garber kite, and it was really badly torn, and the skin itself was quite crackly. It's very stiff. I found that if you water spray it, the skin becomes soft again, or relatively soft, and I managed to repair it using very fine silk, and that fabric mending tape, the iron-on stuff, and it really made the kite come up again almost like new. Okay, that's my bit on Garber.
Were you using archival silk, like the? It's like.
No, it was silk that I got in. I got some very, very nice stuff when I was out in China in Shandong. So I think it was probably good enough. And I've got another one. I've got a couple of skins, but the kite that I got came with the bones. So I repaired. I really wanted it for the sticks, but then I repaired the skin, and I was surprised by how well it came out.
Oh, wow. Oops.
Sorry.
It's okay.
No, that was the video I was trying to cut and paste the link on for you.
Well, if you're on your computer, you can show it for everyone if you want.
1 sec.
So all you have to do is click the Present Now button.
Okay.
Or you could just sing, Peter.
Hello, present now.
Yep. You're going to have to select either the tab or the window. There you go.
There we go.
Yep.
It may take only a few seconds to bring down an enemy airplane, but the required skill represents the cumulative results of months of practice with countless rounds of ammunition against various targets. An enemy airplane is the only perfect target, but any device which contributes to effective marksmanship is worthwhile. Navy target kites are designed to serve as maneuverable aerial targets for gunnery training, especially from ships. Because of the kite's ability to rise in a wind, It is as natural as an air target. But an ordinary kite, which flies in a fixed location, becomes too easy a mark for modern gunnery requirements. The Navy target kite was therefore made maneuverable. Target kites were developed by the Special Devices Division of the Bureau of Aeronautics. Each issue contains 25 kites, 2 reels, a harness, a set of spares, and a manual. This kite differs from an ordinary kite in that it has a rudder and is flown with 2 lines. Pulling either of the flying lines moves the rudder and steers the kite. The reel for use. The spreader bar is swung into crosswise position and secured. The handle is then threaded on the winding shaft. A harness is provided to support the reel. The harness is snugly fitted to the wearer. Then the reel is hooked through the slots in the apron. And its front end is held up by straps. The hands are now free to operate it. The right hand rotates the crank. The left hand controls the brake or adjusts either drum to maintain the 2 flying lines at equal length. Ready for launching. The kite is held at the forward angle so that it will rise quickly when released. The assistant looks around the side of the kite to get the word from the operator for the takeoff. The kite is held directly leeward, clear of any obstructions. The operator signals to release the kite. A 10-knot wind is required. The kite quickly rises to its zenith and is let out to a range of about 250 yards. At this distance, it presents a realistic target. An experienced operator can make the kite perform spectacular movements. Here, he executes figure 8s. And finally, the operator swings the control device to execute a dive. Executing these maneuvers teaches the operator how to handle the kite under any and all conditions of wind and turbulence. Best maneuvers for gunnery practice are long, smooth lateral swings, which simulate the angular flight characteristics of an airplane. To steer the kite in lateral swings, the reel is pivoted slowly from side to side. The kite follows the direction of whichever line is pulled. 20mm gun crews, prepare to fire at kite targets.
Oh no, they're shooting at my kite. Have you guys seen enough of the video, or should we continue? It goes on for a few more minutes.
Cease firing. This kite is hit.
I'd say keep going, but I'll leave it up to the group.
Well, Peter, while you're showing it, can I make a couple of comments?
Being shot down, the kite
Sure.
can sometimes be
Yeah,
recovered.
so I'm Jim Mockford, and I'm a writer, and I have a couple of essays that will be
And flown
published
again,
by the British Modern Military History Society this next year, in 2021. And one of my essays is about my great uncles. It's called Great Uncles in the Great War, because one of my English uncles, Herbert Mockford, died in the Battle of the Somme and is buried in France. But anyway, that organization would be very interested in this video. My other uncle, or my other essay is about World War II, but in any case, that organization would probably repost this video because of what they do. and I'd be happy to send the link. Who produced that video? Where did you find that?
The link for the video is in the chat on YouTube. It's a Navy training video. There's 2 of them out there. That's I think the better of them. But there's also a good website that has most of the manuals and things like that there. But I believe there's some problems with their security keys. So it's one of those ones that it doesn't let you go to automatically. Paul probably has more information than I do. I can't remember the link off the top of my head, but
the British Modern Military History Society is publishing a book, and it was called Operation Bookworm, and it was a project to benefit Blind Veterans UK. And they collected essays from a couple of hundred people, and I think I might have been the first American to submit something that was accepted. We don't have a publication date yet, but their website will have details. But they regularly post information. And my essays have nothing to do with kite flying, but in the course of that, I was very interested in trying to find out if there was something similar in history about target kites during World War I. So if anybody finds information or links about target kites used during the First World War, I would love to add that information to my series of resources, of which this link will go to the folks I know over there might be very interested in this video.
Okay. Can I come in for a second? In terms of target kites in the First World War, I haven't come across anything that I know of. And
okay,
for the Gibson girl, there's a website called I've just got photocopies of bits of it here. It's called Wireless for the Warrior.
Oh, wow.
So if you type in Wireless for the Warrior, I started picking up some of this stuff a long time ago, but it contains a lot of information about the wireless system as well as the kites and so on.
I see.
What I'm on about it's mostly about the Gibson girl. I'm just trying to look. Yes, it's mostly Gibson, but it may well have the Garber kite material. But the Gibson girl itself went around the world. I've got a couple of Russian ones.
Wow.
And it was certainly obviously made here in the UK and the States. And the Germans had a winged version of it. And that's reasonably well known now. There's some copies of that around. So that helps with the Gibson girl. But as far as the First World War, not really anything as far as I know. They did use the man lifting kite systems a few times. I'll have a look. I've got a book from a French friend of mine. I'll look for it just now and see if I can find it, but I don't think we can help on that one.
Well,
Okay.
I don't know anything to differ with that. I just thought it might be possible to find something, given that some of these archives now are available online, and we never would have known this information if we didn't have a chance to chat with people from around the world and find out that they have something very unusual in their personal archive.
Yeah. Can I come back again? I've got a book here called Les Erostiers Cephalons, and it's by Dominic Cotard, and he's written extensively about the man lifting kites, everything to do with the French kites from the First World War. I'd need to have a look through it to see if I could find a target kite, but I can't remember anything in there.
I see. Yeah, thank you so much.
Right, back to
Well, I've learned not to click anything in the chat line while I'm on conference, because it's a good way to end up somewhere else. I'll come back to the chat line later and look at the link. And is Nick online right now?
I'm still here.
I also posted the link for the website that I saw that had lots of target kite material on it. You may get a security key violation or not, but it's a site I've used for years.
Okay. Well, I have one more target kite story, if you don't have a minute to share it, Nick.
Yeah, go for it.
Well,
oh, yeah.
I mentioned yesterday I knew David Chuckley pretty well because we lived fairly close to him in Seattle in the 1980s, and we worked on some things together. And my job would take me to Japan on occasion, so I never knew when David would make some unusual request for me to carry something on an airplane that had to go to someone. And in one of those occasions, he asked me to take a World War II vintage target kite, an American target kite, to Mr. Masaki Modegi in Japan. Okay. So I'm going on the plane with my extra baggage, and I get to Tokyo, and guess what? Northwest Airlines lost the kite. So I'm very distressed, and I get to my hotel, and I have all these messages from Japanese they were expecting me, and so I'm dodging them by saying I'm still busy and this and that, and I delayed my appointment to go see Modegi-san. And in that time frame, I kept pestering Northwest Airlines, and they finally found the kite, and it just had gotten mixed up somehow. So then I was able to tell Modegi-san, yes, your kite was lost, but we found it, and we were able to provide that target kite to the Taimeikan Kite Museum. But oh my goodness, it's bad enough when they lose a regular kite, but when you're traveling with a vintage kite and the airline loses your luggage, oh man, I don't feel like transporting those types of things much anymore.
Hey, Nick.
Yes. Yep.
This is
Scott.
Hi,
Scott.
Hey, I've got an updated version, a 1970s version of target shooting. So if I can, I'll share my little story. So I was in the service, stationed in Fort Carson, Colorado, and I was attached to a field artillery unit, and we went out to the gun range, and they had an RC plane that was towing a nylon banner behind it, and the intent was to shoot at the banner, and we each had a full clip, and there was about 30 of us on the line, and they were just trying to see if we could hit this banner flying through. So this RC plane is pulling the banner. It's going quickly across the range, and out of about 30 of us shooting an entire clip, we had one hit is all. And the next unit that came up was an armored cav unit, and we actually on ours, we had several passes. The plane went by several times. The armored cav unit went up, and on the first pass, they shot the plane down. We were told not to shoot at the RC plane. On the very first pass, they shot the plane down. So that shows how good armored cav is versus field artillery. We were not good at shooting aircraft down. So that's my story.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man.
Oh, God. I don't know.
All right, the floor is open if anyone else may want to share. It looks like Paul is walking back into his rather extensive collection to grab something else. Welcome back, Paul.
I think he's muted.
Oh. Hey, Paul, you're muted.
Okay, I'm back. I was trying to think of interesting stuff in the target kite line, and I think I've got some drawings, but I can't find them. And they came from some folios that I came across, which are basically the Chinese manual of military kiting. And you're talking about using kites for targets, but they also use them for signaling. And I don't know if I can if this comes up or not. Can you see this? I can't find the other pictures, but here you've got the Chinese army with flying Japanese kites. But because of the flags and so on, some of the images are being used for signaling. And there's one set where they could be used for shooting at. I'm not quite sure, but these are dated. There's a portfolio that was probably dated to about 1904, because there's Odie kite there as well. Can you see that, by the way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a bit of reflection from the computer
Yeah.
screen, but we can see it.
Unfortunately, I can't find the portfolio because there's about half a dozen or more of these. They're quite big. Yeah. Is that better? Don't know. But you see the whole of the Chinese army and the kites, but whether or not they're shooting at it or not, I've got no idea.
Oh, wow.
Hello,
Pull it a
Paul.
little bit towards your back. There you go, right there.
But
Back towards your door. Yep. Go back towards your door. There you go, right there. Stop.
I wonder if it'd be possible for Paul to take just a snapshot of that later. Like take a photo of that and then post the photo of that because we're getting a reflection, which is quite interesting, but it's hard to see.
right. Okay. In that case, I'll put it down. It's a failure.
No, I think it's great, but if you could take a snapshot and just post a photo, that would appear in the chat line or wherever Nick can get it. Maybe Nick can find a way to make that more visible somehow, just through sharing a JPEG or something.
Yeah, so actually something I discovered yesterday when I was looking at the overall video from, what was it? The showcase one that I did yesterday. I went ahead and took photos of the very beginning where it was hard to see because my connection was weak, and I just overlaid it on top of the video so you can actually see the stuff a lot better. So I can always do that for this video as well when I post it to YouTube.
Yeah. Okay. Hang on. Back to you. I can't. Yeah. I was looking at the kites in the kite room. How many kites, old kites, have you got hanging up then? Have you got a lot?
The war room or in the overall museum?
No. I'm talking about the sort of 1900s and 1914 sort of period.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. About 11 or 12 in the war room itself.
Yeah.
And then quite a few that are also out here. This is more global stuff that's out here.
Yeah. Is any of that documented? Can you go online to find it?
Not yet. That's part of one of my passion projects that I want to do is make that happen so that people can have an interactive resource online that's kind of an exhibit for the World Kite Museum and kind of a resource for everybody else.
So when you do it, it would be really helpful if you could put in photographs of the details, the connectors, how the particularly patches and how things are fitted together. If you see a photograph of the whole kite, it's not always helpful because we generally got pictures of that on the internet, but the details are really hard to find. And so when you're making a replica, that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, my ultimate plan, when I clone myself and have another person, is to also do video of each one of these. So you can you'll have the close-up perspective, you'll have the general perspective, and then you'll have a video that goes along with it that kind of does a short little snippet that shows the kite in its entirety and kind of gives you that 3D model effect.
And just as a winder up on those, do any of those ever get flown?
Have they been flown?
Yeah, sort of recently. Do you have any video of them flying?
I don't necessarily. I can dig in the museum and see if they have video. There is a lot downstairs. Let's see. You know what? I took some photos of the archive yesterday. I can show you what some of the archive looks like. And then there's shelves and shelves of books. And books and videotapes and stuff like that. But This is a somewhat boring photo, I'm sorry, but this gives you kind of an idea.
Ooh.
There you go. So there is bags and bags and bags of the Checkley kites and some of the other kites, all organized by country. And then there is, I would say, 2.5 rooms of video, photo, and ephemera. I would love to digitize all of that. So yeah, that's a goal for me. But so I am at the time clock for myself that I need to jump out of this conversation and get the next session prepared and going. When I leave, though, the conversation can keep going. The meeting will stay active until the last person leaves. So if you guys want to keep talking about this and kite history, please absolutely continue the conversation. The recording will keep going. And if not, there are a few other sessions today. I don't mean if not, sorry. I mean, if you're interested, there are a few other sessions today that may be of interest. It's a very, very full day, so let me read this off. We have, starting in about 15 minutes, we have Bridles for Your Sport Kite with Brian Wilson, followed by a Sport Kite chat session that's talking about progression. And then Scott Hampton will be showing his fade paint technique that he does with Design Master spray paint. Then we go into a rather big applique roundtable discussion with several master kite builders. And then Dying for Color with Ron Bohart, and followed by Flight of the American Fighter Kite. We're going to do a focus on American style fighter kites from Stephen Childers, and then the second roundtable session for sport kites. So it's a rather busy day. Yeah. I have a cooler of food and some bottles of water to get me through the day. So.
Thanks for getting this started. It's really good. Amazing.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. So do enjoy. I'm going to sign off. And again, you guys can keep chatting here. It will stay on until you decide to leave. So have a good one, everybody.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Right.
Okay, I'm heading out. I've got things I've got to do now. I just wanted to see the see the museum. So I'm not sure how I exit this, but this is all new technology to me. Yeah, but good to see you all, and maybe catch you later at another meeting.
Okay.
I've got my eye on the fade paint technique. I like the idea of this. Okay. Goodbye, everyone.
Yeah. Oh, right. So is anybody else into the old kite stuff? Does anybody else have old kites?
Go ahead, Paul.
Hi there. I was just wondering because I've got a lot of very old stuff. I wondered if anybody else out there has got interesting stuff that they can show on this session.
I can't go pull out my kites out of the basement, but I've got Garber and older stuff too, and then some recreations.
Yeah.
So I follow your posts quite a bit. So I appreciate all the stuff you've done out there.
Yeah, it seems really important that we have a sort of a basic group of people interested in kite history, so that stuff can get passed around. People sort of leave and their stuff gets sold off, and it just gets lost. So it's important that we have this group of people that we can pass things on to.
Hey, Paul, I've been really interested in kite history for a few different years, but I haven't done a lot as much as I'd wanted to researching it. And so I'm slowly trying to just do a little bit more studying here and there on it. It sounds like you have quite a great deal of information on it. Where do I contact this group that you have created? Is it the Facebook group that you're talking about?
It's not my group. Bob White in Canada put it together. Bob White, not Weiss.
Say that again. Who did?
Bob White.
Bob White.
Canada. Yeah, he organized. Well, it was him and Pasievich put together the symposium in Canada at the Bell Museum.
Okay.
And he got a whole group of kite historians over to do talks, and we had a great time. And I think that came out of Bob putting together the kite history group on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fairly small group of active people that are involved in there. But I've always thought there must be a lot of kite history in the States, but we just don't see it.
Right.
Most people seem to be looking at Europe and the man lifting kites there, but I'm sure the same sort of things were going on in the States.
Sure.
But you have to dig and you have to find out.
So Bob White, spell his last name?
Bob White, WHITE.
Okay.
As it's come up.
Okay.
Yeah, Peter, that's the book from Bell and Baldwin.
Yeah.
From Parkin.
It's a great book.
Yeah. And there's great tables of information in there.
Which book was that? I didn't see it.
This is Bell and Baldwin. So this is Bell and Baldwin's notes on their kite flying and their hydrofoils. I mean, the stuff they did on the water is almost as amazing as what they did in the air.
Wow. Is that an out of print book, presumably?
Actually, Amazon does have a paperback version that I've seen from time to time, but this is an original.
So it's the Bell and Baldwin. What's the title?
The book's called Bell and Baldwin, and it's by Parkin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Parkin.
Perfect.
I was thinking about it being spelt out. But you really need to go to the museum at Baddeck in Nova Scotia.
Okay.
The people there are really friendly and they show you around. We were there for the symposium, but you can go into the archive rooms, and I went through a lot of the photographs. The photographs that you see from Bell tend to be the ones that everybody sees all the time, but Bell made a lot of different kites, and there's the images in the museum. Mostly it's tetrahedral kites.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But as he was saying in the book, it's full of, pull out, manuals,
Wow.
and pages of notes and observations and.
Yeah. Just get a box.
Yeah, I'm looking for it right now. I'm not I'm not finding that book right now, but I'll have to keep searching.
Okay.
That's great. Paul, let's see. Peter, where are you located?
Portland, Oregon.
Oh, are you? Okay.
How about yourself?
I'm in Austin, Texas.
Okay.
I was originally from Seattle, was raised there, relocated to Texas about 7 years ago. My mom's side's from that area.
Okay. Here, let me share or
Just back. There's another book on Bell that has a lot of photographs. Is Genius at Work by Dorothy Aber. I don't know if you can see it. But that's
Genius at Work by who again?
I just posted the Amazon link for Bell and Baldwin book, so you could find it in the chat.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
But I was going to say, to go with that, because there aren't that many photographs in the parking book, this one more or less tells the life of Bell.
That's a good book.
It is.
This is by who? Eber?
This one.
Eber?
Yeah. Dorothy
Okay.
Eber. I was just looking at the dates. 1982, so it's probably out of print now.
That's fine. I can probably find it. That's really good. I'll bet you look at that one. What I've done is I've put together a PowerPoint that I've given to a few different school groups, and trying to encourage younger kids, elementaries as well as middle school and high school, to teach them more about the history of kiting, how it moved and influenced and was the core point or the major point of research for aeronautics, and then how it turned into the sport kites that is today. And so the history part of it is fascinating to me because it's the foundation of what we have today, and for a number of different organizations. And that's why those history books are so interesting to me.
I posted the link for the Bell book in the chat as well too. There's a used copy available for $7.33, so that's a deal.
Okay.
It's the reprint, not the original, but it's
Absolutely, yeah.
the reprint's just as good.
All the development, okay, and the genius at work as well. Perfect.
Oh,
so when we go off this chat, how do I get those off?
I don't know. I'm sure there's some way to save chat, but you could also just click on the links in the chat. And
yeah, I think you just click on it and it takes you to Amazon. The other
yeah,
page.
I see that. I see that. Okay.
And I think all the chat will be available as Nick posts the whole discussion.
That's true. Okay. Yeah, I see that one there, and then
yeah. So we're down to 3 people.
Yeah, and I'm gonna depart as well. Paul, yeah. It was a pleasure talking with you. So
yeah, and you, yeah, it's quite a fun game. Anyway, yeah, okay, let's go. Sure. I've got something to do. Yeah, cheery, bye then.
Hey, thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay, bye then. I'm just going to switch off.
Okay.